Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Sean, for you, this is something that we've been talking about and been wondering about, and where was the landing spot going to be, and now we know that Carson Wentz is headed to Indianapolis, and he will be traded there. The number 2 overall pick in 2016 will now be an Indianapolis Colt for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could turn into a first. The conditions on that one with turning into a first would be if Wentz reaches 75% of offensive snaps, or if he gets 70% of the offensive snaps and the Colts make the playoffs. So let's just start with Wentz to the Colts, because I think the topic around the Eagles is a much more complicated one, and seemingly gets surprisingly more complicated like by the day, I feel like. But this felt like the most the most obvious landing spot for Carson Wentz. We talked about once we knew that Phillip Rivers was retiring, and Frank Reich is there, and you have a lot of young talent. You have a good defense, pretty solid offensive line. It just felt like, and I know like there was talk about the Bears, there was talk about a couple other places, but I felt like this made the most sense for the Colts and probably for Carson Wentz, a guy that he's familiar with, had success with, and really it's a team that I think is set up to be really good. I mean, they made a push at the end this year with an aging quarterback, and now you hope that with a clearer mind and maybe a new strength and conditioning team that Carson can kind of regain his form. And I feel like I know a lot of friends of mine who are Eagles fans. I've kind of seen a similar kind of sentiment from them, is that they hope for success for Carson Wentz there. So Sean, we'll start with you. Carson Wentz, now a Colt.
Yeah, and I think when we had touched on this weeks ago, the Colts were kind of my, like you said, my odds-on favorite for him to end up. And once reports started coming out of Chicago and there was rumors that Nick Foles was part of a package deal, did that make me kind of lean towards Chicago and hope that we could get a deal done there? Absolutely. If we could have gotten the same return plus Nick Foles, which obviously I think makes you kind of question some of the reports of, what packages Chicago was offering and what was on the table. If this is what we settled on, I find it a little hard to believe some of the packages that were being reported out of Chicago, just because I think, Tariq Cohen or no Tariq Cohen, Nick Foles and just the other pieces that were being thrown around would obviously, in my opinion, be more appealing. Now, do the Eagles have different plans? Maybe they don't want Nick Foles at this point. Maybe that is what it is. But it sounded to me like Chicago had a better package put together, at least from what was being reported. But you're right. Indianapolis has a way better, I think, scenario for Wentz if Wentz wanted to go somewhere and immediately plug into a potentially winning piece. Indianapolis, from line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball to obviously they have some weaknesses here and there on defense, but as a whole that unit's played real well all year. And from a Colts perspective, if Wentz at this point, I mean, they were a playoff team, and a few flips of the ball here or there, could have been ahead of Buffalo in the playoffs, and we could have been talking about them coming to Tampa. And, it's not like they're asking him to replace, Tom Brady at age 30.
Right.
Like they're asking him to replace Phillip Rivers at age 107 or however old he is. So, I mean, you're talking about the last season of Phillip Rivers' career and the first real season with their offense. They get to the playoffs. So that's what you're replacing. You're just being asked to be kind of as good as an aging Phillip Rivers, and I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation. and like you said, Eagles fans are kind of wishing him the best. I am too, and maybe the fact that the Colts are in the AFC and the Bears are in the NFC, maybe that had something to do with maybe taking a little less if they did. Maybe they were trying to get him out of their own conference. Of course, do I secretly hope that it becomes like a Carson Wentz versus the Eagles thing? No, I hope that never happens. Like a Super Bowl, I was trying to set it up. Like maybe I wanted that to happen in a Super Bowl. It's the last thing I want in my mind.
Right.
If Carson's going to get his, get it on your own.
You never want that.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty great scenario for both of those two situations. And as far as what it leaves for the Eagles, I'm going to leave that for your next question.
Yeah, and I mean, I get you on that one because I mean, there's still questions of what exactly my Cowboys are going to do with Dak Prescott if he does not end up with the Cowboys. Like, don't get me wrong, I hope that he's successful because I like Dak, but in no way, shape, or form do I want to see Dak on the opposing sideline if the Cowboys figure out how to make it to a Super Bowl. I don't like him that much. Justin, your thoughts on Carson Wentz going to Indy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of put it on it. I mean, him going to a spot, regardless of where he went, there's that kind of idea of just getting a fresh start, getting a new clean slate to go with. I mean, he's had offensive line issues the last 2 years. Maybe there's a little bit of jitteriness, thinking that you're sitting behind those 5 men. And then you have that draft right after that where Jalen Hurts gets drafted, and there's a little bit of hurt feelings in that. And so maybe just going to a new clean start is a good start for him. And then you also talking about it's not Philadelphia, it's not Chicago. We're talking about Indianapolis. The media there is less. You're not going to get the same type of commotion that you get. You're not going to get the same type of overanalyzation that you might get in Philadelphia or second or third or fourth quarterbacking. So I think that might just be nice for him to get a fresh start and just to kind of revamp things. So, I mean, more so than anything, I think that's a key. He's still young, like you said, way younger than Phillip Rivers. He still has a lot of potential. And when we're talking about 2.5 years ago, he was a potential MVP. So it's not like we're really that far off of where that ceiling was for him. So I think this is a good move for him. And it's really, one of the things that's interesting, and you're talking about not just this move or you're talking about Dak, but just the quarterback carousel in general this offseason has kind of kept us all, eyes glued to the ticker just to see what's happening and to see who wants to make the next move and to see where it is. But it does make that question too with the Eagles. Did they overplay their hand and did they force themselves into a position that they shouldn't have?
Yeah, and I mean the quarterback situation league wide is just is wild. We talked last time on the air about, of course, the Goff Stafford trade and what are the Cowboys going to do with Dak Prescott? And there's still some reports that the Eagles aren't 100% sold on Jalen Hurts as their starter, which to me is a little baffling. But we'll get to the Eagles here in a second. And there's other teams that they aren't 100% sure what they're doing. There's reports of Russell Wilson being unhappy in Seattle, and do I think he'll remain there this year? I do, but it's you never know what to expect. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Yeah, last I heard, 10 different teams or more have called about the availability of Russell Wilson, and I don't know what sort of packages they're throwing, hoping they stick. But if the Bears were really involved in the Wentz sweepstakes, I would think that they're willing to throw a very interesting package together. There's a lot of teams. I mean,
we can probably put a short list together of teams that aren't calling Seattle.
It'd be very Philadelphia to just trade both of them. Like we'll throw you Hurts. You got Jalen Hurts, and we got a couple of picks coming from Indianapolis. We'll give you that whole package
right back
for Russell Wilson straight up.
But like Tampa Bay, probably not calling Seattle. Green Bay, probably not calling Seattle.
Most likely, no.
But there's probably Buffalo, probably not.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the shorter list is how many
There's teams that, but you mean to tell me that like Buffalo and McDermott aren't at least curious? Like, just like, well, like what sort of package? Like, they're still calling. Like, if somebody had heard like a few years ago that New England was shopping Tom Brady, or like maybe Tom wasn't happy, the whole league would have been like, "So what do you want for him?"
Hey, Rob,
just
what do you
curious. Want? The teams that aren't calling are sending emails, so everyone's checked.
I hope Jerry Jones has at least made a call. Like, I know Jerry loves Dak and professes his love to him and everything, but I hope he's at least made the call. Now, do I think that the Cowboys probably can't afford him? Absolutely, because he wants to go somewhere with an offensive line.
Don't talk too fast. I've looked at how much money they're going to owe Dak if they franchise him the next 2 years, and I think you can get Russell Wilson for less.
Do it. Just do it. Go do it now.
It's all numbers. It's staggering the amount of money that, like, because it's quarterback top 5. If you franchise tag Dak Prescott, you're going to be looking somewhere around the 30 million mark this year, and you're going to be looking somewhere closer to the 50 million mark. I heard that on a radio show today. I guess because of a lot of these big contracts that jump next year, unless they restructure in the following 12 months. You're pushing, so you're looking at a good $80 million investment over the next 2 years in Dak Prescott without a contract.
Just to franchise him. Wonderful. Yeah. That sounds like a total Cowboys thing to do. But the other bit of news with Carson Wentz is I forget the receiver that wears 11, but they've already talked it out. Carson will not be getting the number 11 from him. Carson actually said he doesn't want it. He's looking for a complete.
Sure he does. Yeah, that's a brilliant way to come across that. You got to be kidding me.
Complete fresh start, so he will not be in the number 11. I'm sure there's some sort of Vegas odds somewhere on what number he will end up with. But
no, it's Michael Pittman Jr. And Michael Pittman Jr. is young, but he's got a good social media following. He's got a good following through video games. Like, he's actually marketed himself as a player really well for somebody that actually caught as few balls as he did. And I know how few he caught because like he got hot, and I got him on the fantasy wire. And then he didn't do anything for 9 weeks, and then he had one very good wide receiver. And it's an interesting story because he broke the story while playing Call of Duty. Like he leaked this story out. He was playing his video games, and as he's talking about, Carson called me and asked for my number. You're just hearing people in the background, I'm hit. It's just you're just hearing it. But Carson played it real poorly. I think word is instead of it just calling him and being hey, let's get together, let's throw some balls around, let's work on some chemistry. He just called him first contact from Carson Wentz was how attached to you are number 11. First of all, if you're gonna skip the whole humanity side of it, then throw a number out there. Look, man, I got $2 million that wants that. Just name your at that point. And unfortunately, it was kind of that last piece that's maybe Carson Wentz is just incredibly arrogant. I've never caught him considered in that type of scenario, but when you think about it, small, North Dakota town, probably was always the best athlete, went to North Dakota State, always the best athlete, was going to worked his way up the draft board, take a number, all these things, MVP right out of the chute, all these talks, and then the injury happens, all of a sudden Philadelphia hates you, and then it's everybody else might start hating. I think he just didn't know how to respond to everyone not loving him. And maybe Philadelphia drafting him was the worst case scenario if this injury and the fall off was going to happen. But yeah, it just looked so now for him to backtrack, be I don't even want it. It's probably better. He's right. It probably is better, but you should have realized that before you contacted a wide receiver. Now, on the flip side, I've commented on somebody on Facebook about it. It's a very bold play from a wide receiver.
Right.
Just boldly, because he didn't just decline the request. He made it kind of this comical, and I know it's comical because even people down here in Tampa Bay, the sports radio, were making fun of the way he released it and how poor this came across for Carson Wentz. And I'm thinking if you got a new quarterback coming in, which by the way, there are no official reports out of Colts camp that Carson Wentz is guaranteed to be the starting quarterback. They still have a Jacoby Brissett out there who has started in the past and actually had more touchdowns, I think, than Carson Wentz last year. But that's not true. Carson Wentz had more touchdowns, but it felt like it. Poor Jacoby Brissett, all right, he's retiring. I get a chance. No, sorry, Jacob. We just traded for this Phillies dirty laundry. But yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting play when your livelihood depends on a quarterback giving you targets.
Sure.
To just publicly kind of shame him and be like, "Can you believe this guy?" Like little gutsy play there. We'll see how the chemistry builds down the line. But yeah, Carson, just pick a different number.
Yeah, just get a new one.
Find an idol. Maybe it was Joe Montana. Try 16. Take Phillip Rivers' number.
Well, 16 I think is out because of Johnny U, and I think 18's probably out because of Peyton.
Was Johnny U 16?
I think he was.
Oh, he had a 4. I thought it was a 4 or 14.
No, he was a double digit. What number? I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, maybe it was 16.
Because I think that's why Peyton went to 18.
Ooh, that's a good point.
That might be the new thing of the NFL. Kind of like how different people squat on future team names. Like, we've talked about before in the past with like Vegas Golden Knights or, the Seattle Kraken. People actually, put a tag on that name and then they hope that team comes to them and says, "Hey, we'll spend $2 million for you to release." Right. Maybe that's the thing for the running backs and the wide receivers to squat on a number, hoping that then have that number.
I would start squatting on QB numbers. Like if I'm a wide receiver, take the low numbers.
Yeah, and then we can switch out, and you can give me like $2 million or $1 million, whatever it is. We're gonna have this deal. We'll squat on a number, and then I'll take it for the best.
Yeah.
Unitas was 19, so yeah, you could go to 16. So 19 out, 18 probably out because probably not going to get Peyton's number. I don't know. I probably wouldn't touch Pip Rivers' number. I don't know. It just like a brief topic. We can talk about it another time, but like the whole concept of retired numbers, like there's got to be a point where we stop doing it, right? Like eventually you just start running out of numbers. Like especially in a sport it's one thing in basketball where you have a roster of like 15 people. In football, you have a roster of 60 guys, 50, 60 guys. The Yankees, I believe, are no more single digit numbers, correct?
Yeah.
They're just gone. I've always worn number 7. Like, sorry, pal, you play for the wrong team to wear number 7.
Yeah, now you're 77.
And now you're 77 or 170. Like, Yankees are going to have to start wearing triple digit numbers.
When you start playing like from a minor league sense and you have a 77, you're not making the roster.
Right.
That used to be how that went. Like, you got a 77. Sorry, we'll see you next year when you get a different number.
Yeah, see you next year.
A lot of these older organizations, because I know, like the Hershey Bears, the AHL, like they used to never do numbers above 40. There's only been like a handful of times where a guy who's like come down on a conditioning stint or something like that has gotten a number over the number 40. So and I think it's probably similar to kind of what the Yankees, Red Sox, some of these older teams that they've just always done the low number thing. So now you're getting into a situation I see here on the Caps Penguins. Zucker for the Penguins took a hard board with his legs. Hopefully he'll be all right. He can help down the tunnel. Hopefully he'll be okay. That did not look good though. Definitely did not look good. But yeah, we get into some of the science and things behind numbers and choosing numbers. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app. That's arenaeats.app for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?